thrombolysis. Okay, so basically you go to your file, like here we are working on PE file, you go then create a new syntax. Then within the syntax, you start typing. So if you're going to compute, means you're creating a new variable inside the data set. So let's say you want CHF, you click compute, you get CHF inside the data set. If you're working on your master file, that's going to come up here, like, for example, you said compute PE, you created a PE here. And then you can take this PE out and create a separate file by just doing P is equal to 1, and then just copy the select case in the new group. That's how you can do it. So this is going to create a separate file with PE that you initially created over here.
Right.
Clear?
Right.
And then once you have your PE and you want to create new data, new things inside the data set, let's say you want to find out in your PE data set how many people had NSTEMI, how many people had STEMI, how many people had septic shock, how many had smoking, how many got thrombolysis, which I haven't calculated here. So you have to calculate that yourself. You just go to first try to find the code for thrombolysis. Let's do that here. So let's find the code for thrombolysis. So thrombolytic, we are getting near. So here, thrombolytic, this is poisoning. We don't want to deal with poisoning. ICD-10 has a lot of codes, but anyway, let's say you find, you have to check whether this is actually the code for thrombolytics or not. But let's see if I can. Or let's say you want to find out how many people had in this group had. So if you can't really find it easily here, it's always good to first Google it. You might be able to get an idea. So let's Google, let's see what we find. So this is the code for thrombolysis. Then you can always copy paste it here. There's not going to be dots in the coding here. And see if you can find it here. So this is the code that's basically used for thrombolysis.
Right.
So you get this code, and then you have to figure out if it's a procedure or is it an ICD-10 code. That's also, you find out from here whether this is actually a procedure or not. So TPA, you can see what is the ICD for TPA administration. So this is basically a procedure code. So PCS is procedure code, diagnosis code is different. So once you find out, you then just put it in here or anything, and then you go to your syntax and do a compute variable. Once you do that, it's going to appear in your data set, like here. And now you have that variable. Now you can use that in your tables, or you can extract that data into a separate file. You can do either one of them.
Right. So what I was trying to, what I was confused about was when you said you selected a data set of PE and you want to know how many people had one variable. Can't you do that when you go to analyze and you make tables and it tells you that this many people, like this many people out of the PE data set were male and this many were female? It'll give you the percentages.
Yeah.
Do you use syntax when you don't have a variable that's already present here, like a
correct.
thrombolytics?
Yeah.
Right.
That's when you
Okay.
use syntax. Because
Okay.
all of these, if you look at the original NIS data set, it only has age and diagnosis. That's it. Like all of these variables were created later on. I created all of these. So anything,
Exactly. That's what I
these
was
were
trying to
created.
figure out because the variables were already there in the data set that you sent me. So I
Yeah,
guess if there's a variable that is not already there and you want to add that to the variable, you have to
all
do it
right.
through syntax.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Makes sense.
something you probably want to do in the future. So if, because there are a lot of stuff that I might not add, I might, like for example, thrombolysis. Yeah. So you first find the code. These are the links for it, but you have to obviously use Google to figure out which the code is. Once you find the code, you calculate it, then you test it to make sure there's no error. How do you test it? You just run a simple frequency and you'll get an idea if the code is accurate or not. Let's say you run a thrombolysis code and you just get 10 cases, it means you did some mistake because there should be thousands of cases, not just 10 cases.
Mm-hmm.
Common mistakes is that you put a procedure code in a diagnosis area and a diagnosis code in a procedure area. That's most common mistake that I see. The other mistakes are you miss one, like you put a dot somewhere or you kind of put it wrong. So mistakes are common. Then what happens is sometime a code started in 2019 and you're looking at a data set from 2016, so you miss 3 years. So codes do change. So it's possible that the code for thrombolysis was 620 and then next year it's 622. They can change it. So you have to make sure that you're using the right code. Uh,
Right.
Best way is look into Google and then after Google, you should check it here because this is the, think about this as an index. So once you find your code, double check it over here. That's what I use.
Right.
And then use a syntax to create a variable. From the main data set, which is this one that I'm going to share with you, if I haven't done it already, you
I
can,
have the main one.
yeah, from the main, you can extract anything you want. You want to look at PE, you want to look at ablation, that you just go to data, select cases, and
Like cases.
it like this. So
Okay.
coding is easy, but you're only going to learn this stuff by doing it. I mean, no matter
Right.
the videos you watch, if you don't do it, you won't learn it. You're going to do it, then you're going to do mistakes, then you're going to, it's going to be very difficult first couple of months. So like Zahid Salman learned from scratch with me and he had a lot of problems first 6 months. Like he would call me every other day, try to figure out what's going on. So it's going to be pretty, it's going to take some time.
Right.
Learning, then it will take a lot time. If somebody else is teaching you, then it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Not that difficult because like half an hour for you to understood this and it took me months to figure out what I'm telling you in 5 minutes. So
Right. Right. No, I can definitely start working on it. I worked with Salman on a lot of projects before when he was in a, we both are in the same year, we're both applying together. So when he started, I used to do like the writing and making tables for him.
yeah, but
Uh,
I would suggest just do everything yourself because you would need it ultimately.
right.
Uh,
Yeah, no, I think it was, I always wanted to learn. I just didn't have anyone to teach me. But even though like I'm submitting my application in 2 months, but I feel like this is a very useful
I
skill.
mean, it is useful because during interviews you can always say, "Hey, I know how to do research."
Exactly, yeah. And I
If
feel
you
like it
if
was
you have
very
fewer
frustrating.
papers and you know how to do research, you will have a higher opportunity. Then I can you can just submit a couple of papers with any program director and get an interview there. So if,
Yeah,
let's say you do 3 or 4 papers, you can just submit it with Dr. Bala here and he'll get you an interview here. So um,
right.
that should be pretty straightforward. So
Yeah, because even like depending, like I was doing projects with other people, but then depending on them, like I would come up with the idea, I would write the whole thing, but then waiting for the analysis, and it was very frustrating. And I wish I knew how to do it.
yeah,
So I guess for fellowship, this will make things very easy, inshallah. Zabai, I had a question. I will start working on the PE project. I had another project that was incomplete, and I was supposed to do it with an attending over here. And a resident I met at ACC. His name was Harsh Patel. He was doing the analysis for me, but then there's another um, Pakistani resident. I don't know if you know him, Manan. He was also helping us with the project, and he suggested some changes. So I was asking Harsh to make the changes, but it's been months and he hasn't made them. So
Where
Manan
is
got
Harish?
busy.
Where is Harish these days? Is he at Guthrie Robert Cracker?
No, his name is Harsh. He is at Vice Memorial.
Oh, okay. That's a different guy. Yes.
Yeah, so it's been like 6, 7 months, and the attending that I'm working with, he keeps asking me about the analysis. So I was wondering if, with along with the PE, if you could help me with the ECMO project too, and I could do the analysis. Like the analysis was done, but then Manan suggested some changes, and then those changes, like
Oh,
Harsh was never able to do them.
yeah. You can do that. But ECMO, I don't know. It's not a good. It's not a topic that you can publish a lot on. It's been done and dusted.
Really? Because
Yeah.
we were looking at major bleeding in ECMO, and that I couldn't find any project on this. And 60% of patients on ECMO have major bleeding. So nobody has looked at the variables or the comorbidities that predispose you to ECMO.
I mean, you can do it, but doubt anybody's going to take it. A lot of times,
Yeah,
you don't want to take a paper just because bleeding is so common that it's like people say, "Duh, we know this already."
yeah.
And so, the reason I'm saying is because I have one paper that I wasn't the main leader, but it wasted a lot of my time on ECMO. Like I did like 7, 8 revisions, and it ended up just being published in CRM. So,
Mhm.
that's a problem. So,
Right. I guess then so I mean, to be honest, like initially I was gonna ask that attending for a letter, but now I'm not. So I guess I can just do this, and then whatever the analysis has been done, I can just submit that
yeah,
to it.
I would suggest. I mean, letters is not difficult. You can get letters from anywhere. The real problem, because pretty much sure your residency program cardiology attendings are not going to hesitate writing you a simple letter like it's not something major.
So
So,
there are attendings in our it's different. Like our medicine and cardiology program, they don't get along. So
wow.
letters, like yeah, they don't get along. So getting letters from the cardiology department, and to be honest, I made the mistake. I approached the wrong people. They were um, very big shot attendings, and they were not interested in mentoring people. So I wasted my time with them.
Yeah,
And
that's the problem. But I think,
yeah,
yeah, letters. Yeah, I mean,
so now I'm
it's
getting
time now.
now.
That's
Yeah, but I will get them eventually. But I just wanted to complete this project. But I guess you're right. If it's not a major topic, I can just submit an abstract to HA, tell him that I completed it, and then not
you can
like
always drag your feet. Like I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
yeah,
Yeah, what I suggest is just do something you're good at. Try doing it yourself because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have time to do individual projects with people. Like I'm simply too busy.
right,
I can help you, but I'm probably not going to be able to do it for you. That's what I'm trying to say.
right, right,
Um, and simply I don't have the energy to do it anymore either. So to be honest, in 1 hour I can get it done, but I don't want to do it. That's the problem.
yeah. No, it makes sense. Fellowship is busy.
So,
So no, that's fine. I think I like it makes sense now, and I don't
yeah, and
like now.
I don't really mind. I don't want. I mean, it's up to you if you want to put my name or not. It doesn't really matter to me. I have like almost 200 papers. I don't even remember which papers I have, so it doesn't matter for me.
No, no, I think that's fine. I'm just going to
Um,
do the same thing. I'll just
yeah,
drag
so
it
I
because
would
he's
connect
yeah.
you. Yeah, I would connect you with a third year fellow here. His name is Moyne. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to Boston University for his intervention fellowship this July.
Mm-hmm.
And he, along with it's Dr. Bala over here, the program director, you can just work with both of them. I'm just going to kind of CC you in an email. Just first create an abstract. He wants an abstract for this CRT, for this
AHA.
conference. So remember, the intervention has their own conference. I think you didn't go for Sky, I guess.
Yeah, I submitted something to Sky, but I couldn't go.
Yeah, so make sure like in cardiology, the abstracts, just make sure you get maximum abstract. So now it's CRT is coming, TCT and CRT. These are for catheter conferences. So he wants to submit something for TCT. So he wanted to do PE. So just I'll kind of connect you with him. He can help you with writing papers. He can even write the paper. You can just do analysis for him.
Right.
And you guys can kind of share being first author, or he can do first author in one and you can be the first author in second. You can always negotiate how you want to be, which I would always negotiate in the beginning how the authors, how do you want to be in author panel. That's important.
Right.
You work all 4 or 5 papers and then you're always a second author or something. So you can
Right.
kind of negotiate with him and then just make Dr. Bala the senior author and
Yeah.
program directors, you'll get an interview here, easy peasy.
Right.
Would say
Right.
you have two approaches. Either you go the Salman Zaid route and you do a lot of research and then you get the big names like Dr. Mikos and Dr. Bhatt and Deepak Bhatt and all those with you. That's approach number one. And you'll surely get a lot of interviews with that. Approach number two is that you just do find 5 or 6 program directors and you just do three papers with each one of them and you'll get interview from every program and all of these 5 programs.
Right.
Always kind of be safe. That's what I told Salman, that make sure you do find like 2 or 3 backup areas that will take you for sure. And then afterwards you can go big. So he did a lot of
Right.
papers with his own program director, who was just a general, and then he did a lot of papers with Dr. Bala, and now he's going big. So that's what approach what I would tell you. Find 3 or 4 program directors, do some papers with them. Then you can go for big shots. So the program director has the highest say in the program. It's always the case because he's doing this extra work for free. So people have to
Right.
listen to him, like he's not being paid for this.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Any other questions you have?
No, I think that's pretty much it itself. Makes sense. You can send me the PE data set,
Okay.
and then I can start working on the. I'll make the tables, and then I can show you if those are fine.
Okay, perfect. You can
Sounds good.
add Salman and he can help you with this as well. So he's pretty busy, but maybe he's going to help you too.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Sounds
once you get better, then you won't need us. So you'll be able to do it yourself. So it's going to take a couple of months, maybe a year for you to get good at it, but it's always a good idea because there's no guarantees in medicine. Like there's no guarantee you will match. And I'm not discouraging you. I'm just telling you the
yeah.
reality. And if you don't match, you should always have a backup plan. Like next year you can match.
Right.
So if you don't match, hopefully you will because you're a fresh graduate and everything. But if you don't match, at least you now learn the research and you can do research and match next year. So
Right. Right.
that's
Yeah.
why keep an eye on areas like if you don't match, you need to have an eye on like what you want to do with your additional year. Like you should probably find an imaging fellowship,
Right.
created imaging fellowship if you don't match. But it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen. So, but
Yeah.
and it's not uncommon. Nowadays, I would say almost half of the people who are doing fellowship are doing an extra year for some other reason. Like some are doing lipid fellowship, some are doing chief resident year, some are doing imaging fellowship. It really, if you want to if you don't want to do intervention, for example, then an imaging year is actually very useful because you can get certified in MRI, CT during that year. So it's not like a waste of time. It's actually pretty useful.
Right.
But if you're not, if you want to do intervention, then it's kind of a waste of time, I would say, because intervention, you don't need that.
Right.
But keep that in mind as well. If
Yeah.
because these spots fill up very quickly. So you can't just wait for a couple of months after the match is over. They'll be filled up within a couple of days. You need to know which programs are there to begin with. So like you should have a backup plan. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. Right. Makes sense. I'll start looking into this.
So, but I mean, for now, I would just focus on your papers and your interviews. Once you're done with your interviews, then you can look for a backup thing. So
Yeah.
do that now. I mean, so does your program has fellowship?
Yeah. Yeah. Our program has they have they take 6 fellows every year, and they have almost all specialties except for EP.
No.
Yeah, they have intervention, but the thing is, it's very like, since our medicine, like I was mentioning, medicine cardiologists, they don't get along, so they don't take a lot of in-house people. They'll either take one. In the past they used to take two, but they don't take that anymore. And like with me, one of my seniors is doing a chief year, so he can stay here, and then there are other people who want to stay, so it's very competitive
Okay.
in-house. So
So,
I've started looking elsewhere. Like I'm trying to keep backups open.
okay.